You know, that moment, you're watching a movie, totally getting it, maybe even catching those subtle jokes in English.
Yeah, or listening to a podcast, like this one even, and thinking, yep, I understand that.
Exactly. You feel like you've really got a handle on the language. But then someone asks you, I don't know, a simple question.
Oh.
And boom, mind goes blank. Tongue feels like lead. Just can't get a sentence out.
Yeah, that feeling, it's incredibly common.
So familiar, right? Well, today, that's exactly what we're diving deep into, that sticking point. Understanding English really well, but feeling totally stuck when it comes to actually speaking it.
It's a huge frustration for so many learners. You know, soaking up English from content is brilliant for comprehension. You're like filling up your mental toolbox.
Right.
But speaking, that's a whole different skill set. It's not just having the tools. You got to know how to use them.
Totally. So yeah, that's our mission for this deep dive. We've looked at a whole bunch of interesting ideas, practical techniques, all aimed at helping you bridge that gap, you know? Moving from just understanding passively to actually actively speaking with some confidence.
Think of it as less theory, more real-world strategies you can start using, well, today, really, if you're ready to finally find that English voice.
Yeah, a set of practical solutions.
Our goal is definitely equipping you with concrete steps. We're not just going to talk about why it happens. We're going to explore actual methods to get you speaking more fluently, feeling more self-assured.
Okay, let's unpack the why a bit more first, though. We kind of get it intuitively, don't we? You absorb so much English just passively listening.
Yeah, movies, music, just overhearing stuff.
Yeah.
It all goes in.
But like we said, that's mostly passive learning. Speaking, though, that's active.
Yeah.
It demands you actually produce the language. Send it out.
That difference, passive reception versus active production, it's absolutely key. One source had a great analogy. Imagine your brain is this, like overstuffed warehouse.
Okay.
Full of English words, grammar rules you picked up from listening, loads of stock.
Right, I've got all this stuff in there.
Exactly, but the ability to speak, that's the shipping system, the trucks, the roads, the logistics, to get those goods out as spoken words.
Ah, okay. And if you haven't built the shipping system,
then the warehouse stays full, but nothing gets delivered. You need specific practice to build that system.
and I think that ties into what you might call the perfection trap, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely.
That feeling of needing to be totally ready, flawless grammar, perfect accent, before daring to speak.
And of course, that feeling of being ready just never arrives if you're not actually, well, speaking.
It's a classic catch-22.
It really is. Waiting for perfect is often just fear holding you back,
Yeah.
fear of mistakes. But, you know, the sources really highlight this. Speaking uses different brain pathways than listening. It forces your brain to quickly find words, assemble sentences, and, you know, coordinate your mouth.
Right, like learning to ride a bike. You can't just watch videos about it.
Exactly. It needs focused practice, just like any physical skill.
Okay, so enough about the why. What can we actually do? Let's get into those actionable techniques. First up, something called the shadowing technique. Sounds a bit mysterious.
It does, doesn't it? But it's actually quite straightforward and really effective because it directly links listening and speaking.
Okay.
So shadowing basically means you listen to a sentence or maybe a short bit of audio and you immediately repeat it out loud right away. And you try to copy everything, the pronunciation, the intonation, like the rise and fall of the voice.
The rhythm too?
The rhythm, absolutely, as closely as you possibly can. Think of your voice becoming like the shadow or echo of what you just heard.
Huh. So it's more than just repeating words.
Oh, yeah. It's not just mimicry for the sake of it. It rapidly builds that muscle memory for saying English sounds.
Yeah.
And it trains your ear for the natural flow of the language. It's like a vocal workout for fluency.
Okay, I think I get it. So if I hear someone say nice and clear, I want to improve my English, I'd immediately try and say out loud, I want to improve my English, trying to sound just like them.
Precisely. That's it. And the key is doing it in real time or, you know, as close as you can manage. Maybe hit pause quickly if you need to.
Right.
One source suggested doing this every day, maybe just for 10 minutes or so. Use podcasts, short clips from shows.
10 minutes doesn't sound too bad.
No. And apparently you can see your confidence grow pretty quickly just from that focused repetition.
Interesting. Okay, technique number 2. This one feels a bit more internal. Thinking in English. How does that actually work? How do you start doing that?
Yeah, this one tackles that internal translation problem head on.
Ah, right. where you think in your native language first.
Exactly. You form the thought there, then you mentally search for the English words, try to put them in the right order.
And that takes time, causes pauses, freezing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's often what leads to that stuck feeling. So the whole point of thinking in English is to, well, skip that translation step entirely.
So you're trying to make your inner monologue, that little voice in your head, actually operate in English.
That's the goal. And you start simple. The sources give a good example. Let's say in your language you'd think something meaning, I'm eating now.
Okay.
Instead, you consciously make yourself think the English phrase directly, I'm eating now.
Just make the switch internally.
Yeah. You train your brain to link what you're doing or thinking directly to English words. Make English the kind of default setting for your inner voice. It builds a really important foundation for speaking more smoothly.
That makes a lot of sense. Cutting out the middleman, basically.
Pretty much.
Okay, so shadowing, thinking in English. What about actual out loud speaking practice, especially if you don't have, a conversation partner handy all the time?
That's a super common situation, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there are really effective ways to practice speaking even if you're alone. One of the simplest is, well, just talking to yourself in English.
Okay, I can imagine that feels a bit weird for some people at first.
It definitely can. It might feel strange, maybe a little self-conscious initially, but honestly, the benefits are huge.
How so? What does it actually achieve?
Well, the sources suggest describing what you're doing right now out loud. So if you're making tea, you say, now I'm pouring the hot water, or I'm waiting for the tea to brew.
I'm walking to the kitchen, I'm looking for my keys, that kind of thing.
Exactly that kind of thing. It forces you to access and use English vocabulary related to your immediate context in real time. It connects the words directly to the actions.
It's like narrating your own life, a running commentary.
Sort of, yeah. And there was a bonus tip linked to this too, wasn't there? To get some feedback, even when you're alone.
Oh, yeah. Recording yourself, right?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Recording yourself speaking, maybe just for a minute or two, and then listening back. It's incredibly useful for self-correction.
Because you actually hear yourself as others might hear you.
Precisely. You can spot pronunciation issues, notice where you hesitate a lot, maybe catch grammar mistakes you weren't even aware of while speaking. It gives you objective feedback to guide your practice.
Okay, good tip. So shadowing, thinking in English, talking to yourself, recording yourself. What about this no pen rule? Learning phrases without writing them down. What's the logic there?
Yeah, the no pen rule isn't about ditching writing altogether, obviously. It's about specifically training your ear and your mouth to connect directly with new phrases.
How does leaving out writing help that?
By focusing only on hearing and speaking a new phrase aloud, you force your brain to rely on auditory memory, remembering the sound, and also on the physical feeling of saying the words, that sort of speech muscle memory.
Ah, strengthening the sound-to-mouth connection.
Exactly. It really emphasizes the spoken form of the language and can help you internalize phrases faster so they're ready to use in a conversation rather than just recognizing them on a page.
Cool. Makes sense. Now, slightly different, but related. Self-talk sessions. How is that different from just describing your actions?
It's similar, but adds a bit more like storytelling. The idea is to narrate your day, but maybe more like you're a commentator on a reality show.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, one source gave a fun example like, okay, Jerry is making coffee now. He looks determined. Oh, wait, and oh no, he forgot the sugar. Disaster.
Right, so you're using more descriptive language, maybe expressing opinions or reactions.
Exactly. It encourages you to form more complex sentences, use more varied vocabulary, and it can make the practice more fun, maybe less self-conscious than just stating facts.
Definitely sounds more entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay, I love this next one. Embracing ugly first drafts. This feels crucial for confidence.
Oh, absolutely crucial. This concept is all about giving yourself permission to make mistakes, to say things imperfectly.
To not wait for the perfect sentence before opening your mouth.
Exactly. One source used that humorous example, the ghost story yesterday.
Yeah, grammatically not great.
Not great at all, but is the basic message clear?
Yeah, you went to the store yesterday, I get it.
Right. You got the core idea out. And the thinking is, as you keep practicing, keep hearing correct English, your brain will naturally start self-correcting over time. You move towards more accurate ways of saying it.
The key is not letting fear of that ugly draft stop you from speaking at all.
That's the absolute key. Get the message out first, refine later.
Okay. And related to getting things out quickly, what about 5-second responses?
Ah, yes. This technique is designed to build that quick recall, that spontaneity you need in conversation, and to stop you overthinking.
How does it work?
The idea is simple. When someone asks you a question in English, try to start your answer within about 5 seconds. Don't pause and plan the whole perfect response.
Just jump in, even if it's not perfect.
Just jump in. Even if the answer is simple or not perfectly grammatical, it trains your brain to access what it knows quickly, which is essential for natural back and forth.
Okay, wow, that's a whole toolkit of things to actually do. But like we touched on, there's that massive hurdle of confidence. Feeling afraid, feeling silly. What helps build that up?
Yeah, the confidence piece is huge. Maybe the biggest mindset shift needed is don't chase perfection, chase progress.
Say more about that.
It's about remembering the goal is communication, right? Getting your message across. Not sounding like a newsreader on your first try.
Right.
Mistakes aren't failures. They're literally how you learn. Every single time you try to speak, even if you stumble over words or mix things up, you're making progress. You're building that speaking muscle. And bit by bit, confidence grows from doing.
That's such a good reminder. Mistakes are proof you're trying.
Exactly. Another little trick for confidence, especially when you feel put on the spot, is the 3-word start.
Okay. What's that?
That's just using simple little filler phrases to buy yourself a second or two to think. Things like, well, or I think, or maybe.
So instead of just silence while your brain is whirring?
Right. Use one of these little starters. It gives you a crucial moment to gather your thoughts without an awkward pause. And honestly, it makes you sound more natural because
native speakers use fillers all the time.
all the time. It's totally normal. Learners often feel they have to speak perfectly smoothly without any of those things. Realizing native speakers can be really liberating. It takes the pressure off.
Yeah, okay. Don't beat yourself up for saying,
Please don't. And the last point on confidence, accents. This causes so much worry for learners.
Oh, yeah. Do I sound right? Is my accent okay?
The key takeaway here is really focus on clarity, not on achieving some kind of perfect accent.
Why is that?
Well, first, think about native English speakers. Accents vary wildly, right? UK, US, Australia, Canada, within regions. There is no single perfect accent.
Good point.
So the goal shouldn't be to sound like someone else specific. It should be to speak clearly enough that people can understand you easily. Working on pronunciation for intelligibility.
Yes.
Stressing about sounding exactly like a movie star. Not helpful.
Clarity over conformity. I like that. Okay, so we have the techniques, we have the confidence boosters. How does someone actually put this together, make it happen? One source laid out a kind of 30-day challenge, right?
Yeah, it's a nice structured way to get started and build momentum. It breaks it down week by week.
Okay, walk us through it. Week 1.
Week 1 is all about getting started with shadowing. Just 5 minutes a day. Get comfortable mimicking the sounds and rhythms. Low pressure start.
Okay, manageable. Week 2.
Week 2, you add recording yourself, maybe just 1 minute voice notes each day. Describe something, answer a question, then listen back. Start that self-correction loop.
Right. Building awareness. Week 3.
Week 3 is about stepping into the real world a bit more. The goal is to have at least 3 real conversations in English. They can be super simple.
Like ordering coffee or nice weather today.
Exactly. Just short, simple exchanges count. It's about actively using your English with another person, breaking that barrier.
Okay. And the final week. Week 4.
Week 4 adds a nice little twist. Teach someone else one word or phrase you learned during the challenge.
Why teaching?
Teaching something solidifies it in your own mind. And it's a huge confidence booster to successfully explain something in English to someone else.
That's a really smart progression. Start small, build up, add interaction, then reinforce by teaching.
Yeah, it's designed to feel achievable and build confidence steadily over the month.
So listen, if you've been stuck in that, I understand, but I just can't speak place, remember what we've talked about today. It really comes down to active practice, doesn't it? Using those techniques like shadowing, making that conscious effort to think in English.
Speaking daily, even just to yourself, making it a habit.
And maybe most importantly, giving yourself permission to not be perfect, embracing the mistakes as part of the process.
Absolutely. The big takeaway is you are not stuck. Understanding English is massive. You already have so much knowledge.
Right.
Moving to speaking just needs consistent, focused effort, Using these kinds of strategies, you're building that shipping system for the knowledge you already have.
Yeah, exactly. Fluency doesn't just magically arrive. It's built. Day by day, word by word, sentence by sentence, with trying, with putting yourself out there even when it feels a bit awkward.
Every expert speaker started as a beginner who just kept trying, kept speaking.
Your voice matters. Start using it today. Don't wait for perfect.
And maybe just think about this. Fluency isn't really a destination you arrive at. It's more like a muscle you build through regular exercise. It comes from trying consistently. So what's one small thing, just one tiny step you could do today to actively use your English speaking skills?